I've been thinking a lot about this culture of constant positivity, especially in the context of dating. We live in a time where people are expected to be upbeat, unbothered, and perpetually okay. Everyone wants to appear emotionally stable, confident, high vibe, healed. But underneath that polished surface, so many people are quietly drowning in loneliness, confusion, and shame. When I talk to people in relationships or those trying to find one, there's a pattern that keeps showing up: the pressure to be good vibes only. It's as if feeling sad, insecure, or disappointed has become a moral failure. People tell themselves, if I'm negative, I'll attract negativity. They try to manifest love while suppressing their pain. But here's the thing: you can't manifest connection while hiding who you really are. Because love, real love, isn't built on perfection. It's built on truth. Toxic positivity is sneaky because it looks kind. It looks optimistic, but what it actually does is silence pain. It says, don't feel that, instead of, tell me more about that. And in dating, this shows up in the subtlest ways. Someone gets ghosted, and their friends say, don't worry, they weren't for you. Someone feels jealous, and they're told, don't be insecure, just focus on yourself. Someone's relationship is falling apart, and people respond with, stay positive, everything happens for a reason. And I understand where that comes from. Most people don't know how to sit with another person's discomfort. We live in a culture that worships happiness but fears sadness. We think being low means being broken. So when our partner, our friend, or even we ourselves express something dark or heavy, our instinct is to fix it, to make it go away. But love isn't fixing. It's witnessing. In relationships, this obsession with positivity can create emotional distance. Imagine you're in pain, maybe you had a bad day, or you're feeling disconnected, and your partner says, don't be so negative. What happens inside you in that moment? You shrink. You feel unseen. The space where vulnerability should live becomes filled with shame. You start learning that only certain emotions are acceptable in love, the rest must be hidden. Over time, this turns intimacy into performance. People start curating their emotions the way they curate their social media. They show the laughter, the smiles, the achievements, but not the fears, the doubts, the emotional messages that actually make relationships real. You can't build a deep bond on filtered emotions. If you want a relationship that's alive, it has to include the full spectrum of being human. I think what makes toxic positivity especially dangerous in dating is that it confuses emotional denial with emotional maturity. People think being calm and high energy all the time is a sign of growth. But real emotional maturity isn't about avoiding pain. It is about learning how to sit in it without running away. It's the ability to say, yeah, this hurts, and that's okay. It's the ability to hold someone else's sadness without needing to fix it. When I work with people who struggle to connect deeply, I often find that underneath their polished optimism is fear. Fear of being too much, fear of being rejected. For not being perfect, fear of being seen as needy or negative. So they overcompensate by becoming endlessly agreeable. They say yes when they want to say no. They smile when they want to cry. They downplay their needs because they've internalized the idea that love must be earned through pleasantness. But you can't be loved for who you really are if you're constantly performing who you think you should be. And I think that's one of the quiet tragedies of modern dating. We've made emotional authenticity feel unsafe. We tell people to stay positive instead of helping them stay present. I once spoke with someone who told me they couldn't bring up problems in their relationship because their partner accused them of being too negative, so they stopped sharing. They stopped expressing frustration. They kept everything inside, trying to preserve harmony. But that harmony wasn't peace, it was emotional silence. And silence in relationships is rarely neutral. It's corrosive. Over time, the body starts to carry what the voice cannot express. You start feeling anxious, restless, disconnected, but you can't quite articulate why. It's because part of you knows you're not being honest. Your nervous system feels the dissonance. You're smiling while your soul is screaming. And that's what toxic positivity really does. It disconnects you from your own truth. It makes you feel like your pain isn't valid, your fear isn't welcome, your tears are inconvenience. And the irony is, the more you suppress, the more your emotions control you. Denial isn't healing, it's postponement. It's like putting a lid on boiling water. Eventually, it spills over. In dating, this shows up as emotional burnout. People jump from one connection to another, trying to keep the vibe light, trying to not scare anyone away, but deep down, they're exhausted. They want realness. They want someone who can hold silence without panic, who can handle conflict without withdrawing, who can hear, "I'm not okay," and not take it as an attack. There's something sacred about two people being honest with each other. It's raw, sometimes uncomfortable, but that's where trust is built. When someone tells you their truth, their pain, their insecurity, their shame, they're not being negative. They're being brave. They're letting you see them without their armor. And if your response is, "Stay positive," you're essentially saying, "Put the armor back on. I can't handle the real you." I think many people fear that if they show their real emotions, they'll lose love. But the truth is, you can't lose love that was built on honesty. You can only lose attachment that was built on illusion. The people meant for you won't be scared of your sadness. They'll meet you there. They'll hold space, not just for your light, but for your shadow too. There's another layer to this, how toxic positivity affects how we choose partners. If you're addicted to positivity, you'll unconsciously avoid people who trigger discomfort. You'll choose emotionally unavailable partners because they let you stay chill. You'll avoid deep connection because it demands vulnerability. But real love will challenge you. It'll bring up your wounds. It'll mirror the parts of yourself you don't want to face. And that's not negativity. That's growth. Sometimes people come to me and say, "I don't understand why my relationships never work. I'm such a positive person." And I'll say, maybe that's the problem. Not because being positive is bad, but because sometimes positivity becomes a shield. You can't connect deeply when your guard is made of smiles. Love is not meant to be a constant high. It's a rhythm: joy, confusion, peace, fear, laughter, silence. The real work is not to chase the highs or suppress the lows, but to stay present through both. The couples who last aren't the ones who avoid pain, they're really the ones who learn to move through it together. And maybe that's the heart of all this, learning that good vibes only is not emotional health. Emotional health is authentic vibes always. It's showing up real, messy, sometimes contradictory, but always honest. It is knowing that your tears done to make you weak and your fears done to make you unlovable. Because the truth is, relationships don't fall apart from negativity. They fall apart from emotional dishonesty. They fall apart when we stop telling each other the truth, when we start editing our feelings to protect an image of harmony. If there's one thing I've learned from years of listening to people as stories, it's that the moments of deepest connection happen not when everything is perfect, but when two people finally stop pretending.